Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us on Viewpoint on DBS Television. As usual, we always have a guest that will be among us to discuss issues plaguing the society as a whole, be it economic, political, be it social, be it governmental, and a lot more issues. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the social media and its trends. We are going to be talking about some lapses in government communication. Talking with us about these topics, we are having Prince Francis Ganje. Is a new face. He has not been with us, and so he decided to be part of us tonight. He is an entrepreneur. Good evening to you, Francis, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Good evening, Vanessa, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure too. Manga Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers.
Let us take the first part of the show. Question 1. With the advent of social media platforms, can fake news be controlled in our society? Francis, yes or no? Can fake news be controlled?
It can be yes and it can be no. It can be controlled at one point in time, and of course it gives the liberty for the content creators. So yes and no.
Yes, to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
Yes. Manga Venashus?
No.
No. And our last question, can the lapses in government communication be justified at this information era?
Definitely not.
Not. Manga Venashus?
No.
No as well. Coming up next, let us take a debate. In our first question, with the advent of social media platforms, can fake news be controlled in our society? Francis, in the first part, you kind of said yes, but to a lesser extent. Looking at how the social media is evolving, where everybody is almost a journalist or a reporter over the social media, or everybody wants to be the first person to publish an information. Do you think that fake news can be controlled?
As I said earlier, fake news can be controlled, yes and no. Let me first of all make you understand that with relations to the social media, right, as you said, the human being is prone to want to be the first to do something. You get the point? And with relations to that, sometimes they are tempted to go ahead and publish something that is not verified, and that's actually the case with the social media. Most often when you call fake news, it's relations to the person receiving that news. You know, he who is receiving the news, based on how he receives the news, if it's in favor of him, he will tell you it's fake news. But the person who is propagating that news might be putting it with the intention that, okay, this is news that is worth hearing. You know, just like for example, what happened in the Northwest last time, you know, relations to the killings and all that. Some people call it fake news, others call it non-fake news. I think it can be controlled. It all has to do with how people are educated in relations to this. You know, okay. Education has a great role to play in relations to whether fake news can be controlled or not. You know, if you go to the US, for example, a good number of news outlets, you know, train their journalists, they train the content consumers, you know, to first of all verify this information. You know, when, for example, I'm a consumer of news, I go online and I get a particular news item, I need to be able to verify this information. There are many means through which you can verify such information. You know, rather than just taking it from the first degree and consuming it, you verify this information. We have a lot of means through which you can verify. Just go to Google, for example. If you take a website with an information from it, you go to Google and you insert the same information on the website or on Google. Google will show you. You'll be able to trace where that information is coming from. If it's an information that is coming from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you will be able to identify that this is not current information. You understand? So based on that, it can be controlled. That's for the part of the consumers. That's for the part of the person who received that information, because the effect of fake news is based on the person who is receiving it, right? Not even the person who is propagating it. Because if I put fake news out there, if I put a particular news item out there and it doesn't receive the effect that I was intending for it to receive, because the consumer had to control it, the consumer had to verify and understand that, okay, this news is not good. For example, you go on Facebook and you see a lot of news. There are some persons who come on the comment section, with a screenshot of when that news came out, and it definitely there it kills down that information, that fake news. So it has been controlled in that
this
instance.
happened 3 years ago, so you're just trying to incite.
Exactly. Yes, so you're controlling it in that aspect. I think the government has a greater role to play in relations to controlling this, not necessarily going against freedom of speech by stopping people from posting or doing, threatening people from not posting. They have a greater role in the sense that they can organize seminars. We have the National Communication Council. That is what it's supposed to be doing. Programs like this, for example, this is what it's supposed to be doing. Educating the people, educating the masses of, if you receive an information, this is how you're supposed to treat that information before you consume that information. It's all left with us. Now, the difficulty with the training and ensuring that the consumers treat the information before consuming is just simply the fact that everybody is in a haste. Nobody has the time to want to verify something. If I see the information immediately as I'm scrolling on my phone, I see the information, I just share, without necessarily taking my time to want to control or want to verify if that information is right or not. So in that aspect, in that sense, it can be controlled. And as I said earlier, the government has a greater role to play because they have all the resources to they can put all the resources.
And talking about resources, I was supposed to get to that because in some Western countries, you discover that when they put fake content online, you see the owners of those applications, they delete it.
Definitely. Now, when you look at, for example, like how we have Facebook.
We have Twitter, where when Trump tweets something, you discover that
basically all the social media platforms. What the Senate committee, for example, is trying to do is holding the owners of these platforms responsible. You cannot hold them 100% responsible, but they have the possibility of controlling that as well. So that is part of controlling fake news. They can develop applications, or they can develop signals such that if you publish something, based on, you have algorithms, you can either indicate that, okay, with this particular message or this particular word, all right, it should signal in the back station that this should be verified. They go ahead and verify it, and if it's fake, they pull it down. But the risk with that is that it's interfering with freedom of speech. That's the main risk with that, because if I am coming to a platform, I register in the platform for free. The conditions for me to register, most often we don't read these conditions, these terms and conditions. The condition for me to register on this platform is that my information is not tampered with. Whatsoever I put on my platform is my platform, is not tampered with. You decide to create a platform in such a way that everybody can see my platform. If you don't want to see my platform, you go out of my platform. But now if the person who is having the platform goes ahead to remove information that was posted by me, it becomes a breach of contract. So that is the main problem with that situation. But in cases of extremity, all right, they have the right to pull it down.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Francis, for elaborating on your point. Mange Venashus, you think that with the trend of social media, like fake news can't be controlled in our society?
Yes, Vanessa, I loved the first comment you made when you were speaking with Francis, and you actually mentioned that we are living in an era where everybody is practically a journalist. With the advent of smartphones, everybody, you connect to the network, or to the internet, to social network platforms from any point, from anywhere, at any time. And when we talk of fake news, controlling fake news, the question that came to my mind was, where do we have, what is the starting point of this fake news? If we had call it a common point of departure, we could talk of controlling it. But then in as much as there are many users of a social network platform, there are possibilities that fake news can emanate from any of these users. Because when you can sit in your house here and decide to say the presidency has released, this decree, doing this, and you send it out. Immediately you send it out. Remember, in journalism we talk of mass broadcast, mass communication. You are sending a message to an unknown viewers. You don't know those who will receive you. There is a difference between having the information and accepting the information. Just this morning we were reading something about a colleague sent on a forum. There is a circular circulating that the Ministry of Defense is launching a recruitment. Just about 30-40 minutes later on, a colleague sent a disclaimer from the Ministry of Defense that they have not launched any recruitment. That is in the case where we already have that disclaimer. We now know that that was fake news. What about those who have received the information and they don't have the disclaimer? Because there is something, what is happening is we are living in a society where, people tend to consume fake news. They say fake news circulates like wildfire, more than real information. It just suffices for you to sit here, film something, and post it that it is happening now in Douala. We've had cases here where, you remember the famous incident that happened in the far north region. A minister quoted that it has been 3 years back, that it was in Mali. And to him, that was fake news. When you put those issues together, you see that it is practically difficult to control it because we don't have one point of departure. Francis was talking about the owners of these platforms who have the possibility of bringing down those posts. It would be difficult for me to decide now the incident that happened in Bamenda. If I post it now and say it happened in Douala, somebody was killed, or the woman who was assassinated in Mamfe, I posted that this woman was assassinated in Douala this morning. Before the social media platform owners should try to investigate, the information would have been circulating. And before they should come out with a disclaimer, people would have, it had gone wild that a woman was killed in Douala. That is fake news. So I think that when we talk of controlling it, if we had the possibility of having access to where this information begins, where it takes off, then we can talk of trying to verify it before. Another issue we have to look at it with with most of our authorities. How many of our authorities verify the content that they have? Because when you go to most of their sites, websites, they are not, up to date. So if such media platform, social media platforms had to verify whether this, we take for example the Ministry of Secondary Education, that's just a banal example, right? I'm not saying that their website is that, but there are websites of ministries in Cameroon that are you see as far back as 2017. They are still there. So we just fall into such a ministry and you want to find out, is it true, is that information in their website, and you fall in 2017, you see that it will be completely difficult for them to decide which is information and which is not information. Okay. So I think that for us to talk of controlling fake news, the problem is the society has consumed it first, and then those who have, not everybody has the same IT knowledge. Some people could be able to think of going back to the various sites. Some people may not even know. How many Cameroonians will know the website of ministries just to find out if actually the Ministry of Defense launched a recruitment? Many may not know. Like you said, many of them, their websites are not updated. Many of them are not updated. So immediately you just see it. They say something happened here in Douala. We just consume it, and it goes. All How many people we don't have that time? I would like to know from you, has the social media influenced the traditional media? Has it influenced the way journalists do carry out their work? And I'm afraid that it is even overtaking the traditional media, because the rate at which, the access at which the social media places information to the public, if we are not careful, it is overtaking the traditional media. Vanessa, for people to watch us, you need to sit in your house and watch what we are saying on the television. But it suffices for somebody to be moving with his telephone and is trying to browse what is happening in the society, what are they saying now, and he is seeing. I think that they are fast approaching social media. That's why if you look at it, most traditional media houses are going, they are venturing into social media platforms, because that is another means of getting to the wider public. Yes, the social media platforms are becoming a household name that we may not, we in the profession may not be able, to ignore. We may not be able to underestimate. Yes, because the impact is so huge.
All right, but good enough is that the traditional media platform has trained journalists.
That is what makes
to collect an information, investigate, treat it before handling over to the public.
That's what makes a difference between a journalist and a social media platform user, because he just gets. Vanessa, we are talking about information. Just look at the kind of images that we circulate. There are some shocking images that in the profession they tell you that there is not just every image that you broadcast, or you need to flow them. You need to, you need to, cover the mask.
There is even the way you pass out certain information,
and that is why they tell you the use of euphemism, the use of synonyms to describe a situation that could be shocking to somebody. But then social media, look at the gruesome murder that happened in Mamfe that we have on the social media. In normal traditional media house, I don't think that any right-thinking person will broadcast such images as raw as they are. And that is why in journalism they tell you of treating an information. You collect the information, treat it first, censor the information first before broadcasting. Censoring the information, treating it, doesn't mean sift out the truth. We maintain the truth and we present it in a balanced way. That's what makes a difference between a journalist and a social media user.
So what can be done, especially in Cameroon, to control the rate at which fake news circulates on social media?
If we were talking of some advanced countries, it could be, proposals like what Francis was saying, educating the masses could be possible. But we have a gullible kind of society that we just need to take what we have on social media. It's just like newspapers. Vanessa, when you just move along our streets, you see people who stand on newspaper kiosk. What they do is they read the headlines. And once they read the headline, you need to know you need to listen to their conversation. You need to listen to the way they discourse as if they have read the information. Forgetting that in journalism, there is a way you put a captivating headline in such a way that you can draw the attention of somebody to read the article. And once you read the article, you discover that he is telling you something different. But if you remain on the headline, you would, and that's what you would just go with the
wrong conclusions.
Oh, exactly. And that is what we have on the social media. Most people don't verify information. It is just it is enough just to read that this is happening. You don't even care to look at the date it was published. Some even just take it immediately, they read it. That is what the social media is saying, and boom, we just take it in.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your viewpoint. It's very educating tonight. Second question: can the lapses in government communication be justified at this information era? Francis, you think it cannot be justified? We all know how the government functions nowadays. A lot of people are complaining that they are not communicating enough when certain aspects happen. This coronavirus pandemic has come again to prove a lot more that government is not communicating enough. When things do happen, the government will have to take a longer period of time before they come out to say something on that. So how do you appreciate this? Or what can they do actually to communicate effectively?
Vanessa, I think before coming to that question, I just want to mention on something Benashe talked about. Relations to the social media and those who are consuming that information. I think it falls in, it still goes, it relates to the second question. Because I think when the social media came, right, before the advent of the social media, everybody was glued to their TVs. Everybody was waiting for the right medium through which the right information needs to come out. But with the advent of the social media, nobody has a time to wait, for the radio or the TV to broadcast at 8 p.m. or, immediately the information is out, it's related out there, And I'll still fall down to the aspect of training, The rate of penetration in our society is very low. Like the rate of penetration of the internet in our society is very low compared to the Western world, compared to America, for example, compared to France or other Western countries. The rate of penetration is very low. So we have that possibility to control it from now. We have that possibility to train the masses, make the masses understand that, all right, if you receive an information, this is how you treat that information. It's true. There are some persons who are lazy enough, who do not have that time to want to treat that information before consuming that information. But it still boils down to the fact that we need to train the masses. Today, if you look at Facebook, if you look at most of the comments on social medias and all that, there are some persons, if you post a particular image, they come under your comment section and wash you clean, make you understand that you're not supposed to put this. So people have already started understanding that, especially consumers of this content, they have already started understanding that we don't need to consume any rubbish. You don't need to just come up with any information and put it out there. This is part of the education that we need to give our masses. And in relation to the lapses in the government communication, I think the government needs to understand that social media is here for them. Governments of the world needs to understand that social media is here for them. Donald Trump tweets, he does his administration on Twitter. It's fast, it's efficient. It might not be the traditional media, like people who are seated at home waiting. But it's an efficient means of communication. He
just gives the main point, and the traditional media comes to develop it.
Definitely.
Give you more ample information.
Definitely.
On what he has.
So in relation to it, I think some ministers, are doing their best to communicate through the social media. You take, for example, the minister of health. He's doing his possible best to communicate through the social media. But I think the other ministries, just like Vanessa was saying, most of them do not even have websites updated. It becomes a problem for the consumers who are coming to take that information. So I think that relations to the government lapses, it cannot be pardoned. We cannot pardon lapse in this time and age. When information is supposed to be there 24/7, and you tell me, no, wait for 8 p.m. news to listen to that information. No, it cannot be pardoned. Give me the headlines, before some other person gives me. Hear the point. If you don't give me now, some other person will give me now. That's where it comes now to the problem of the fake news. Because by the time we wait for the normal media to relay, some other person will come and give. But now, if you take up the relay, be the first to communicate. Be the first to tell me what I need to hear. Immediately information comes.
They should be active, proactive.
Exactly.
Immediately it comes, they should just go up also on the social media.
Let me have it. Immediately it comes, because immediately it comes, some other person is there digging and trying to give in something fake or something that's not close to the truth. So you better give me before it comes. So we cannot pardon the lapses of government communication relations to that in this era.
Thank you. Mangavena, choose your point of view. You are supporting Francis' fact that at this present era where the telecommunications are advanced, the advent of the internet is so fast, yet government is lacking in an effective communication.
Yes, Vanessa, you see, when you look at the way government communication is done, the lapses that we noticed, you tend to ask yourself, are we in the same era? Francis was talking about Donald Trump. I think he is one of those presidents who started becoming a social media platform user so openly that you even find him practically every day he is on social media. But then we have, in Cameroon, we have issues that you tend to ask yourself, do they really understand the impact of this social media in this era? Vanessa, I take, for example, the question of confidentiality. You get the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic. He writes a confidential letter to the Minister of Finance. Within 2-3 hours, you have it on social media. Where is it coming from? How did it find itself in the social media? Do we say that the Minister of Finance got the information, snapped it, and sent it on social media? Do we say that the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic took the confidential data, well labeled on it, confidential, have it scanned, and sent it on social media? There are things that I think the government needs to understand. Even the President of the Republic, at his age, immediately he had the meeting on Monday. In the evening, on his Twitter page, he indicated that he chaired the Higher Judicial Council meeting today, Monday, and That is communicating, telling us what the government is doing. And when I look at it, it is not justifiable because most of these government ministers are dormant in such a way that they don't even know what to tell the public. They don't even master their roadmap. Yes, because if they knew what to tell the public, look at the minister of health. Every day he gives you what is happening. He gives you, keep telling you, giving us warning. This is where we are with the coronavirus issue. This is where things are already. We need to continue intensifying barrier measures. But you don't get, other ministers, I don't know whether they even visit their website. I think if government had to make it a role that no ministry communicates apart from its website, we may be getting to where we can check fake news when it comes from the government bench. Because if you know that for you to have an information, go to this particular ministry in their website and verify that every communication is there, we would have it. Now, there's another point of this issue of appointing who runs this website. We have ministries in which, like we have in our country, once you are a minister, any other person who may be from your tribe, may be from your village, may be from your family, you just co-opt into the ministry who has no knowledge about communicating. And you just send him there. He is there. You have a ministry that the website is 1 month old. No, we are not supposed to live in that era. Because each ministry is supposed to...
We are talking of months, we are talking of years.
Yes. I just wanted to be a bit, soft with them. Because you just need to take and type here, this ministry, go into their website, whether it is current. There are some ministries that you go there, you still see the images of old ministers. We are talking living in an information era like we are. So I think that these ministers need to sit up. And when I look at it, what is the problem? The problem is they have not understood the importance of social media. You were asking me if this social media is affecting the traditional media. You know, it is in such a way that some of us journalists may not even be able to cope without falling back to this social media platform. That is why we are talking about fake news. That is why in most of the cases you find some journalists giving fake information, broadcasting wrong information, unverified information, because they were glued to their social media platform. But I think that our ministers, if we are to start controlling government communication, we must know the importance of social media now. That is where it goes. Not everywhere in Cameroon receives CRTV. Not everywhere in Cameroon receives radio. But then there is a possibility that almost a three-quarter of Cameroon has internet now.
All right.
And they can be able to communicate, which means if each ministry just say on our website, find out this, and you go there, you will see it. I think that Vanessa will be able to talk about this idea of fake news, controlling it, and then finally saying that this lapses in government communication is not justifiable in this era, Vanessa.
In this era. Thank you very much, Mange Venashus. Francis, talk to us a little bit about the Top Spot Studio as the CEO.
Actually, Top Spot Studios, it's an audiovisual production content company. We produce content for international organizations, even national organizations. We do documentaries, and we basically do everything related to audiovisual production. So we're based in Daido, that's Mobi Gramula. That's where our offices are situated, and of course we've been there for over 3 years now.
All right, thank you very much. Top Spot Studio is managed by Francis Ganje Matute. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Vanessa, for having me.
Mange Venashus, thank you for your viewpoint as well.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And to you, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Stay tuned to DBS Television. Do not forget that all this is to educate you, inform you, because knowledge is power. Do have a blessed night. Goodbye.